Hello and welcome to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy,
And I'm Claire.
and we're here to talk about some of the disturbing things that go on in the world, past and present. We feel like not knowing doesn't mean the crazy doesn't exist.
So we're going to scar you with the knowing.
Enjoy.
Okay, so today we'll be chatting about Lowell Amos. Our where will be Michigan/Indiana.
Indiana. I didn't know he was pronounced like that. You say I say
Or
my letter's
where.
funny.
Our where will be Michigan/Indiana, and the when is the 90s.
Okay.
Lowell is 52 years old. He's a GM plant manager, and his wife is 38 years old. Her name's Roberta. And like I said, they're visiting from their home in Indiana for this Christmas party. I assume it's not exclusively for the Christmas party, but they were in town and were at the Christmas party. They spend the whole night partying it up, drinking and doing cocaine until about 4:30. People party different, I
never
guess.
been to a work Christmas party that had them there drug. I've never been to a Christmas party that provided drugs.
I feel like it probably wasn't out on the table as a buffet.
That's one hell of a party if it is.
I feel like that was one of them times people would go into the bathroom and use their nose candy. But regardless, they attend this Christmas party and party it up till the wee hours of the morning before heading to their hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's on a Friday night. By 8:30 that Saturday morning, GM executive Norbert Crabtree, at that point he had gotten several frantic phone calls from Lowell. So Norbert and a coworker of his go to Lowell's hotel room, where they were told by Lowell that Roberta had overdosed and was unresponsive when he had woken up that morning. Which I already thought that was weird, because if you party till 4:30 in the morning on cocaine, how did he go to sleep and then wake up at 8:30 in the morning?
He didn't. He just stayed awake. He just thought his eye hole covers done.
Eye hole
closed.
covers?
Yeah.
They're eyeball covers.
Whatever.
If you got an eye hole,
Actually,
I don't
they're
feel like
eyelids.
seeing anything.
If you want to get actually on me, they're called eyelids.
Well, anyway, so when these two fellers go to the hotel room, they're shocked when Lowell says that, his wife is unresponsive. And Lowell responded, "No, I'm not kidding. She's in there, cold as a mackerel."
Wait, unresponsive and dead are different.
So that's where my brain hole went, of like, these men are all standing in the threshold of this hotel room door like, "Oh, she's in there unresponsive? Oh, are you serious?" And he's just like, "Oh yeah, she's cold as a mackerel." And I'm like, again, two different things.
It's two different things. And if his wife is dead, that's a really fucked up way to put it.
Right?
Cold as a mackerel?
I don't know, mate. I'm not even gonna. I don't know why you went with a fish description.
I'm gonna say she needed a shower real bad.
Keep in mind she's dead, Andrea.
Okay. Just
anyway, he tells them that he called them there because he needs help cleaning up the room before calling the police. To which, again, I was like, What?
Is he's
he
cleaning
needed
up
help
the drugs,
trying to figure out how to flush the toilet, I guess, because that's what he does with the remaining cocaine, and then calls the hotel.
At least he didn't try to snort it. What if he called the guys over and he's like, "Come on, we got to get rid of this here cocaine," and said, "At least he's trying to flush it."
I would hope somebody would have been like, "So not a good idea to get cracked out and then call the police."
I feel like you're giving them too much credit, because these are the same fellers that are like, "What? She's cold as a mackerel. Let's go investigate this." I'm not fucking going anywhere near there.
Well,
how about we call some paramedics?
Well, I was disturbed by the fact that they come in to help clean up the hotel room, not render aid.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I'm surprised they didn't decide to snort all the cocaine.
Well,
or at least put it in their prison wallet.
He needed help flushing the toilet. But he flushes the toilet and then calls the hotel desk to report that his wife is dead. Which, again...
Did he tell them she was cold as a mackerel, too?
He probably did. They were like, what the fuck?
If he called the front desk and he's like, "My wife is cold as a mackerel," and they were like, "Sir, did you want a new plate of dinner?" Did you need more dinner? It's not supposed to be cold. No, she's cold as a mackerel. Oh, you need a warming blanket? No.
So Lowell then asks Norbert to hold on to his sports coat and a small leather case, to which Norbert agrees. And again, I was like, if I have to go anywhere and somebody's got a dead spouse, I'm not taking anything out of there. No.
No.
But Norbert agrees, and then Norbert and the coworker head out because naturally they don't want to be there when the police get there. But after leaving the hotel room, Norbert looks into the case to find a syringe without a needle, still containing an unusual yellow-tinged liquid.
Was it pee?
Now, with the room tidied, Lowell called the police. When they arrive, Lowell would tell the police that Roberta overdosed during cocaine-fueled sex games.
What?
I know.
I mean, I guess that's possible, but what?
Now, according to Lowell, Roberta had sinus issues, so instead of snorting her cocaine, she would dilute it in water and inject it into her vagina and rectum.
What the fuck? I am without words right this second. I done never heard that you could make cocaine into a suppository.
I didn't know either. I didn't know it was a thing up until this case. I did like
Is it a thing?
I have no fucking idea, Andrea. I didn't know if you wanted to bypass your nasal passages, you can just stick it on up there. But then I also cringed because he gave that syringe to Norbert, who unknowingly cracked that sucker open and had...
That's disgusting.
Can you imagine that feller when he finds out what he took out of there? Because let's pretend she did that willingly, which I don't feel like she did, but you know those weren't clean hands touching the leather case either.
Ew.
And I just feel like a cocaine enema is not a fun night.
I think he did that because he wanted to see what it made his penis feel like.
So he said she was busy with her cocaine and he fell asleep. To which again, I was like, if they were doing cocaine all night, I don't feel like he just fell asleep. But I don't know. I haven't done cocaine to know, but I guess he could also been boozing it up enough to pass out. Now, he claims he then woke up and she was dead. Now, police were immediately suspicious because they could tell the room had been tidied up. And I don't understand anyway. What was the point of mentioning the cocaine if he was going to clean up the room and get rid of everything?
I don't know, but I gotta tell you, you made me Google what happens when you put cocaine in water. And I found an article from nyc.gov that says, I didn't open it because I'm not gonna, but it says tips for safer use of cocaine and crack. Avoid mixing cocaine or crack with other drugs or alcohol. If you do so, use less of each drug. Start with small amounts and slowly increase.
I don't feel like when people do their drugs, they look for safer ways to do it. Otherwise, the meth heads wouldn't be putting brake fluid in there.
I was just...
Okay. They pass those out to the school children?
Apparently so. Then maybe they should be listening to our podcast. Don't do drugs, children. And definitely don't insert them in your vagina and rectum. What the fuck, Claire? Is this what you were giggling about?
Yes, it
when
was.
You said that you had to tell me something? It's disgusting. You have issues. Sorry.
These
continue.
people
My brain
have issues.
has not listened to anything you've said since then, by the way. I'm still processing. It's a slow processing day.
Anyway, so the police were suspicious that since they could tell the room had been cleaned up and so had Roberta's body.
Well,
they
yeah,
were
if
also,
he's saying it was cocaine-fueled night of sex and the room is clean.
But apparently she was doing it on her own, so since he fell asleep. I don't know. So that is even weirder, that if you have a hotel room, you're out on the town, you've been partying it up. What man says his wife had a night of cocaine-fueled sex games, but he went to sleep?
Apparently low.
I thought it's the other way around.
That the wife went to sleep? I feel like that is
he was
not
upset,
consensual
so
any longer.
He was giving her a cocaine injection to perk her up.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway.
Oh, my gosh.
So they were also suspicious because usually when someone is dying of a cocaine overdose, they'll thrash around violently in their death throes. Which I didn't know. I've never been there when somebody's dying of a cocaine overdose, but apparently they get thrashy, and Roberta didn't have those signs. So their questions were, how would Lowell have slept through that if he was so wired on cocaine? And also, the pillowcase that was on the bed, or like the pillow that was on the bed, the pillowcase that was on the bed had Roberta's makeup smeared all over it, indicating possible suffocation. Which I also figured, unless she did pass out and she just fell on the pillow, and I don't know how the smears were, if it was like on top of her face or the side. I assume it was the top since they were thinking suffocation.
Yeah, but if they were having them some weird kinky sex games.
Right, yeah. I don't know. It was one
She
of those
could have had consensual face smotherings.
other than these poor police officers walked in and were like, what the fuck? And probably were doing the same thing of, they do what? You put a syringe where?
Where is the syringe now?
I'm surprised nobody asked that, because I think it's weird that, oh yeah, my buddy who didn't want to be here when the police came in, he took that syringe on out of here, but I didn't tell him it was in somebody's rectum. And who knows if he did that play game too, which, ew, if you share syringes, and ew, if you're putting them in the same holes.
And
anyway,
ew. Just
yeah,
ew.
we could spend a lot of time on this, so we're not gonna.
The fact that it was yellow liquid in there is even more ew.
Somebody needed to tell him he didn't need to pull back.
White. Why would it be yellow?
Andrew, I have no idea.
Somebody suctioned when it was in the wrong hole.
It was. Oh my God.
The fluids mixed.
Ew.
It's your case, you sick son bitch.
It would take 6 weeks.
You've been giggling for several days over this case, and it's over. That's that.
I knew you wouldn't see this one coming.
I sure fucking didn't.
It would take 6 weeks for the lab tests to come back, but it would be determined that Roberta had over 15 times the usual dose seen with cocaine overdoses, as well as a medication to help with sleep. So, unfortunately, due to lack of evidence and suspicious details, or not being enough to charge Lowell with murder, the police decide to just keep him under surveillance because they really have nothing. I mean, he told them what happened.
Yeah, it's not like he tried to fully lie about it.
Yeah, and typically when people are drinking and doing drugs, they don't make good decisions, so they had no proof that he drugged her wine or whatever and injected her vagina and anus with cocaine.
It's disgusting.
Yes. Now, just 2
days... At least he didn't try to use a powder. Could you imagine him trying to do like a of powder?
Just put it on the pillow that he smothered her with. She'd have to breathe it in eventually. Not a recommendation.
No, I meant trying to put cocaine in a powder form in her ass or in her vagina.
If she farted it out.
Just a big...
The irony would have been if he died of a cocaine overdose. Or just had real bad pink eye.
I was about to say cocaine overdose and about a pink eye.
Anyway,
continue. So you sick son of a bitch.
He's sick. So just 2 days after Roberta's death, Lowell spent $1,000 on a night of dinner and drinks of like just bar hopping with his friends, including 2 women that they were going bar hopping around Detroit. The 2 women that he had along with his little bar hopping party, he went home and had sex with them 2 days after his wife overdosed.
Okay, so my thought process on this, not to excuse the behavior, but it doesn't sound like he might have been the most faithful individual to begin with, so he's just carrying on with whatever he was doing already.
Well, you would think it was a surprise, but he didn't even go back home to Indiana yet. He's still in Detroit, continuing out his trip.
Okay, so that's a little weird.
Right, and now celebrating, he's paying for everybody's drinks and going around and then fucking 2 ladies at the end of the night.
Yeah, so the continuing to celebrate and staying on vacation after they done carted your wife off with her cocaine-filled
no,
crevices.
she can take that trip home and then I'll meet her there. She's not getting any colder.
Yeah, she's already as cold as them there mackerels.
Yeah, so it's
weird.
not long.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Ever.
No, your burning anus story was way worse.
It was not mine, just so we're clear. That was another case and a feller with mental issues. Anyway, it's not long before the news starts reporting on Roberta's sudden death, and before long, ex-lovers of Lowell starts coming forward to report that Lowell had drugged them during sex.
How?
I don't know if
How?
he also used syringes and jammed them up there, or if he drugged. I thought it was drugged wine. You'll see why as we get onwards. But I think he had some issues there. But the fact that anybody's coming forward and letting him know that he would slip stuff into their person in some way, shape, or form that they weren't privy to is the part that perks detectives' ears. Because they still feel like there's suspicion, but they don't have evidence of. So I'm glad that at least somebody kept an eye on Lowell because he needed to be kept an eye on.
Yeah.
So you were right on track with thinking that Lowell wasn't the most faithful individual. Because turns out Lowell had been seeing a woman on the side for some time, and she came forward to tell police she had told Lowell he needed to break it off with his wife by Christmas or she was leaving him.
Okay. I have a massive problem when women do that shit. How about if you know the man is married, go find someone that's single. There's plenty of mackerel in the sea.
Well, I feel like it was probably one of those you need to pick because he could have been all when they started that they were getting divorced and that just never came about. I've heard plenty of those fellers doing that of they're separated.
Yeah, but that's unless you've been to the house and there is proof that he is a single man. Just lift the toilet seat. You'll see them pubes all over the place. There ain't no woman there cleaning up after him. But unless you know that, then you don't go that route because you never know. Unless the paperwork is signed, there is always a possibility that they will work things out.
Even after.
That's true, but I feel like even after the paperwork's signed, if they work things out, that's a whole... yeah.
Anyway, so investigators are now more determined than ever to go to Lowell. So they dig in even more and find out that Lowell was in a financial pickle and had owed Roberta over $30,000. So breaking it off with her would mean she'd want that debt repaid. And also, he owed $15,000 to Roberta's mother because they had loaned Lowell money for his business venture.
Now, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Now, that business that year had also suffered a $225,000 loss, which is why he needed money to help sustain said business. So
I'm going to say he needs a new business venture.
That's where I was like, what the fuck? But so he wasn't in the position to drop Roberta because he couldn't take on another debt. Now, Roberta's mother was devastated to find out her daughter died, and of a drug overdose of that, because she stated her daughter had never had a problem with drugs. She never used drugs, and Roberta had had a son from a previous marriage that she was dedicated to her son, too, that she wouldn't do that. Now,
yeah, but at the same time, I don't see very many daughters going to their mom and being like, so I got me this here cocaine problem. I like to inject it into my crevices for fun.
Well, I feel like it's probably, because that's what I did too, is like, yeah, but if she's like, I know some people, not personally, will do like, they're on vacation, so they'll dabble in whatever because they're on vacation. She's not at home with her boy, so it's, she's in a hotel room to do whatever she wants to. She could have done cocaine at the Christmas party. It could have been one of those, weird. They thought they were having a wild, crazy night. But I don't think her mom would know if that was something that they dabbled in. However, I feel like it also comes to light that Roberta was planning on leaving Lowell, which makes me think that that conversation probably turned sour in the wee hours of the morning.
Wait, she waited until they were on vacation to have that conversation?
She's dead. Something happened that he became aware of her wanting to leave him, but if other people knew about it...
I don't understand these people. I was reading another case that the husband and wife were having issues, so they went on a vacation together, and then they chose to get drunk and then start arguing, and then it led to them assaulting one another, and then she ended up dead. And it's like... I don't understand I get the one last ditch effort, but
yeah, I was going to say,
perhaps try having serious conversations while sober.
I feel like if you get to that point where you can't talk to your significant other and then you want to try to do a whole leave your problems behind and go on vacation to try to have like a happy moment scenario, but then you take the partying and relaxing way too far and now all sensors are dropped, all filters are gone, and you really tell each other what you think of them. And then that ends up, you remove your consciousness of This probably ain't a good idea to put this pillow over her face or insert my spouse's vagina and rectum with diluted cocaine.
I don't even remember what I was going to say. That one is the weirdest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. It's right up there
Anyway,
with your burning anus story. Yeah, you will not convince me otherwise. And I'm glad that you found a case that you could be all giddy about. You're sick and have problems. And no matter how many times you keep repeating that it was injected in her crevices, will that ever become less what the fuck in my brain?
so Lowell's 14-year-old stepson will come forward and tell police that Lowell received life insurance proceeds and property in 3 previous deaths, which motivate police to really dig into Lowell's past. So we're
Previous
going to
deaths
dig
from
in.
who?
That's what we're about to go into. So Lowell had been married before. His first wife, Sandra, had been found dead in their home at a young age of 36 on January 24th, 1979. Now, Sandra had mixed her Valium, which is a sedative for those who don't know, with her wine, and it ended up
Mm,
slipping and falling, hitting her head on the side of the tub, causing such a massive bleeding that she died. An
um,
autopsy only showed a single abrasion to her eye and pulmonary edema or the buildup of fluid in the lungs, although pathologists could not find out why she had fluid in her lungs. Her death was ruled indeterminate, natural causes, and Lowell received $350,000 in insurance payout.
and he still had a business that lost 250,000.
This is 20 years earlier.
He needs a new business venture.
I know, like
If you give me
350,000.
if you give me $250,000 to invest in a business and I lose it, or I'm sorry, 350, and I lose 250 of it, do not turn around and borrow more money from everybody else. He's living off of it, like the doctor guy. There's no business. Did anybody investigate
No,
what is his business?
I don't know. Lowell had been running a campaign for mayor during the time of his wife's death and was forced to withdraw after her death.
Oh, poor baby.
Now, within months of Sandra's death, Lowell marries his longtime mistress, Caroline. Which I was like, this fucker always has a side piece.
He
And
sure
I
does.
was like, this was just with Roberta. She
Hey,
anyway,
I know you probably don't have the answer to this, but did he get a life insurance policy off of Roberta? And if he did get a life insurance policy off of her, did he pay back her mother?
silent savages.
I
In
ain't no savage.
in 1988, Caroline finds out that Lowell secretly took out a large life insurance policy on her, so she
She's
kicks him out
next.
because I don't know what the
She ain't no
issue.
fool.
Yeah, she's like, no, no, sir. And he wouldn't cancel it, so she tells him he needs to get out. Now, according to friends, they would frequently argue over the multiple insurance policies he had out on her and his refusal to cancel them. So I feel like because friends and family knew that they argued over that shit is pretty serious.
I can tell you that if I found out that, we'll just use me and Jason as an example, that his 3 previous relationships ended in their deaths and him getting a payout on life insurance, and then he had multiple policies on me all of a sudden, yeah, fuck you. Peace out. I'm never eating or drinking or breathing the same air as you ever again, asshole. I'm not going to be the next on that list.
So up till this point,
But I wouldn't have married him either.
Roberta is afterwards. So this is his first wife, so only one death, and she's his second wife. But she
Okay.
gives him the boot, so naturally, Lowell moves in with his mom, 76-year-old Mary Tolles. He lives with her about 2 weeks. Now, when he moves in with her, she's in good health, but dies suddenly. No autopsy was performed due to her age, and presuming she died naturally.
Sounds like some solid coroner work.
Now, when Caroline hears of his mother's passing, they reconcile and Lowell moves back in. The same day his mother dies.
She had to console him with her vagina.
Well, okay, get this. So the mother dies. Lowell calls her. She comes over because she goes over there to console Lowell. But she finds him tossing all of his things into his vehicle. Now, Lowell convinces a friend and Caroline to help secretly move him out of his mother's home so that the police won't link her death with him being there. Which I was just like, how did anyone not go? Why would they even care if you were in the house? Now, on April 6th, 1989, Carolyn Amos is found dead, just 9 months after their reconciliation and his mother's death. According to Lowell, they had just gotten home from dinner and Caroline went upstairs. He would tell police he brought her a glass of wine as she was blow drying her hair next to a full bathtub. The next thing he knew, he found her in the bathroom with her curling iron or her hair dryer, depending on which article you read, and assumed she had fallen or accidentally electrocuted herself. To which my mind went all over the place because
why is she doing her hair after dinner?
That's what I didn't understand. And why, who washes their hair in the tub? So why was the tub full if nobody was taking a bath? And then who doesn't let the water out of the bathtub? And why would you do your hair before you got in the tub? And then none of it made any sense to me. And I'm suspicious of him bringing anybody a glass of wine at this point, because I feel like that's exactly what he did with Roberta and then shoved cocaine in her.
That's so gross.
But I didn't understand the whole why would she be doing her hair if they just got back.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Now, what's even weirder is police don't even find the wine glass that Lowell supposedly brought to the bathroom. Instead, they find one rinsed and cleaned in the dishwasher.
Yeah, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go find my dead spouse and be like, oh, let me wash this here glass. I'd hate for it to get water drops on it.
Mm-hmm. Now, police couldn't determine the cause of death, but did examine the blow dryer and the wiring, and it did not cause her death, nor was she electrocuted. An autopsy was performed, and she was tested for over 200 drugs. And they couldn't figure out how she died. Ultimately, her death was declared unknown. She was just 46 years old. Lowell would receive $800,000 in life insurance from her death.
Holy shit. They couldn't determine a cause of death?
Yeah, so I was surprised too. I was like,
So that means the bathtub wasn't full because she didn't drown. And that also rules out whatever she's doing her hair with, because it's not like it fell in the bathtub and electrocuted her. So
how did he, it was one of those, what the heck? Now, it would take 11 months of police work for them to get enough suspicious things together for Lowell to be arrested for Roberta's death. Because mind you, they're learning all of this as they're digging into Lowell, of all the money that he's coming in, how many people have died, and no one's believing at this point, is it a coincidence? Nobody has that bad of luck. Now, on November 8th, 1998, Lowell is arrested in Las Vegas, where he had moved after Roberta's death. Although Lowell is never charged with the murder of Caroline, Sandra, or his mother, Michigan law did allow details to be entered into a record in order to establish a pattern, which I thought was pretty cool. And that's the only reason that he's able to be charged with anything, because had it been anywhere else, it's just he can't prove he did any of those. It's just establishing this seems to be a pattern situation.
Well, I'm pretty sure you could. Well, they couldn't bring it up that he killed anywhere else. Anywhere else they wouldn't be able to say he murdered them, but they can bring up the fact that those people have died
in weirdly unknown ways, and always Lowell is the benefactor.
And he's always cleaning up the scene in some way, shape, or form.
That is one point that an attorney does make, is that every time there's Lowell just cleaning away. Now, Connie Alexander, a former neighbor of Sandra Amos, would testify that on the night of her death, Sandra and Lowell and her had been sharing a beer at their home until about 11 p.m. A few hours later, her young children would knock on her door saying that something was wrong with Mommy and the ambulance is stuck in the snow. She would immediately run over to check on her neighbor when she walks in on Lowell burning something in the fireplace. She asked him what it was, and Lowell would reply that it was Sandra's clothes because they were bloody.
What?
So this is the wife that fell and hit her head on the tub.
But why is he burning her bloody clothes?
Fucking no idea, Andrea. But I was like, how the hell?
Huh.
Now, his attorney would argue that there was no proof that Roberta was killed. At the worst, Lowell was guilty of involuntary manslaughter for supplying the drug, which is where prosecutors attempted to show a pattern with his first two wives and even his mother, They would also stress the fact that there was always a delay in reporting the deaths and the bodies were cold, and that he had cleaned up the scene before police or paramedics arrived. Now, this
Shit, he
one.
fucking packed his stuff and moved out of his mom's house before paramedics arrived. He didn't just wipe fingerprints down and straighten up whatever. No, he fucking packed his shit and moved first.
Now, Ruth Loftus, a 38-year-old topless dancer who went by the name of Creamy Thighs or Sunshine. I'm glad you had that reaction, because this was actually in the paper, and I sure do like the way they used to report things. So it makes me laugh that you also reacted the same way to Ruth's name.
Creamy Thighs.
Creamy
Take
Thighs.
A shower, lady.
Creamy Thighs or Sunshine would testify.
Well, it can't be both. No. Let's break down these here names. If it's Sunshine, I'd imagine she's tan. Creamy Thighs, I'm going to say she's a cum sprinkler, or she needs some sunshine.
So I would imagine it depended on which evening. Maybe she had alter egos, or maybe she worked at two different joints, and one she was Sunshine and one she was Creamy Thighs, or maybe she changed her name with her wigs. I don't know.
Yeah, but Sunshine you would think has a tan. Creamy Thighs sounds pasty white or needing bathe.
Anyway, so she would testify that her and Lowell had a sexual relationship, and he told her that he killed one of his wives and planned to kill the next one. She would say that her and Lowell had met up 4 times, twice in March of 1989 and twice in August of 1991. She stated that Lowell called himself Jeff and would get lap dances from her at the bar and $75 from him each time she had sex with him in his car. Now, when asked why she didn't say anything when he told her that, she stated that she hears all sorts of things people say when they're drunk and just figured he was just another one of them fellers that talked a lot when he was sauced.
But yet she continued to have sex with him and take his money.
She wasn't worried. She wasn't his wife.
She's a real classy broad. Let's go fuck in your car now.
Where's that $75?
It's disgusting.
Now, it would take 4 weeks of testimony of paramedics, doctors, pathologists, neighbors, all sorts of people, and even the stepson would come forward and say that when Roberta had passed, he even had a conversation with her son that he was glad that there wasn't a life insurance policy on Roberta, or they would be pointing the finger at him. Who says that to their stepson about their mother?
A sick son of a bitch, but the same guy that was shoving things in her vagina and anus. So come on now. But there wasn't a policy on her?
Nope. I think so. I think the way that shook out is since his business was doing too bad, that he probably couldn't afford to keep life insurance, especially a pricey one. And then because he owed money to Roberta and her mother, that his payoff was not having to repay.
I have a question.
What?
So once Roberta was killed, he'd already had 2 deaths under his belt, right? 3.
3. His first 2 wives and his mother.
Right. So I don't know at what point this changed, but like I have a life insurance policy I took out on myself, and I wanted to take one out on Jason, but you have to get that person's permission in order to take out a life insurance policy on them. I wonder if during those deaths, that's when that shifted, because that might explain why.
Have you not watched IDTV when people will forge signatures?
So, like, when I took my policy out, they had to talk to Jason. Like, they had to actually talk to him. They also come out, they did like a physical and blood work and all of that. You can't just forge that. He had to have a valid ID, proof that he was him. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a whole thing. He had Miss
Sunshine. He could have had somebody fake it.
So, again, you still need ID. I'm just saying, I wonder if that's why he didn't have a policy, was because he would have needed her consent to take the policy out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, the prosecutors formulated their case based on that they believe Lowell first gave Roberta 2 glasses of wine with crushed sedatives in them, and once she was passed out, he inserted the diluted cocaine inside her body. Once she started convulsing, though, since he didn't anticipate that, he smothered her with the pillow. Now, with all Lowell's history of his other wives and his mother deceased and all that, Lowell was found guilty and sentenced to life without parole. Now, since he was found guilty of Roberta's death, 3 years later, Roberta's ex-husband would file a judgment on behalf of her son, or their son, Tyson, and Lowell was ordered to pay $2.5 million or this included for paying up funeral expenses and damages for loss of affection and support for her son, which I didn't even know was a thing.
No, I didn't either. I guess
Which
it's
was
right up there with like wrongful death.
Yeah, which was pretty cool of the dad to do for the son because he lost his mom. Now, Lowell died in prison on January 5th, 2022, after his 79th birthday. And I hope it was from a syringe of cocaine in his ass.
Or a caution cone.
They could have used that to funnel it in. You don't know?
I definitely do not know. This is out of my area of expertise. I ain't a doctor.
But that there was Lowell Amos, not to be confused with famous Amos.
Or anus. That's what it is. He confused the holes.
Or he's just like, you know what? This one keeps leaking out. I'm going to put it here too.
This one has a tighter seal.
I just thought it was really disgusting that, again, at no point, if I went to somebody's hotel room and they're just like, my spouse is in here cold as a mackerel. Will you take these here items out before I call the police and I need to flush the rest of my drugs? I'd be like, sure fucking am not.
Well, I don't understand if he was planning to tell them that she inserted that stuff in herself. What's the point in getting rid of the syringe?
That's what I didn't get. And then I was like, maybe because he was also doing some cocaine, or maybe he taste tested the syringe first. I don't know. That maybe
after.
When the police got there, maybe when the police got there, he caved and like he thought he was. They were probably giving him eyeballs. So like, what did he just fucking say? And he's just like and then just spills all of what. Because I would be thinking the same thing of, okay, then where's the syringe? He's like, well, I gave it to my friend, and I don't know whether or not he ratted out his friend because I didn't see where the police were curious why there were people there that he called after the fact. I think that's suspicious. I think it's weird as hell. He let the front desk know his wife was dead, but I feel like he called them to let them know, so just let the paramedics on up when they get here, all right?
You go ahead and send me some warm mackerel.
But I do want to know what that poor feller's face looked like when he found out where those syringes had been. Because
only if he sniffed it or tasted it.
He still handled it. Would you not be like, oh, what the fuck? Hand something to Jason today. Let him handle it. Do whatever. Like, give him a pen. Ask him what color the ink is or something. Just so you get him to mess with it and be like, that was shoved up somebody's ass earlier today. And see if he does the what? And throws that sumbitch across the room. And then does the whole, he had that in his hand. He was wondering why it was sticky.
That's a disgusting case.
It was. Not gonna lie, when I was reading it, I was just reading along. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I don't think it is. Actually, you know what? Let this be a PSA. Do not play with drugs in your genitals. It never ends well.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got the Stumpy case. Yeah, he injected that shit in his penis to see what would happen, and his dick falls off. Like, let's not, people. Let's leave your genitals alone. If you like to play with them, put the drugs elsewhere, not in your sensitive parts.
For your Stumpy feller, that he just was going, I don't work out much and I can't find the veins in my arm, but this one looks real good. He just didn't anticipate it making his penis fall off is all.
I think he done expected it to make it rock hard. But it doesn't explain. No. Well, he was trying to overdose the wife, so.
I think it would have been funnier if he would have tried the powder method first, and that's why he had to clean up her body.
Let's face it, he probably did.
She had the beans dip, and it just backblast, and that's why he couldn't answer questions to the policeman.
It's disgusting, Claire. That is disgusting.
It's also why he needed a minute before calling him. Probably also why he had to clean everything.
It's disgusting. Did I mention you're foul? We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Homicide Hobbies. If we made you laugh, if we made you cry, or if we mindfucked you for the day, then we thank you for listening. Please write a review on whatever you're listening to us on. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. We're freaking awesome. And join us next week for another episode of Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy.
And I'm Claire.
That's all we've got.